What's up, guys? So welcome back to day 3 of using OpenClaw to babysit my trading scripts. So in this series, we're seeing if OpenClaw can actually do all the tasks that we don't want to do, like do health checks, check for errors, deploy things, change configs, or if it's just too much of a pain in the ass and we go back to doing this manually. So yesterday we made OpenClaw create its own server and run my Polymarket trading script that I use on a specific market, which is the Strait of Hormuz market. And the good news is it's up $150 on $1,000, which again is not the point of the actual money it made, but rather that it's actually trading and at least it was able to buy and sell. The bad news is that I got confused and then also lied to my face and said that things were fine when the script was actually breaking. So I want to go over what went wrong and how I plan on fixing it, and also some of the mechanisms that I think OpenClaw is useful for that can help with that. Okay, so what went wrong? This morning, if you run trading scripts, you know this, like when they're running, just because there's no errors does not mean there's actually no errors. And so in this specific case, it had done a bunch of buys and it didn't realize it was supposed to do the sells because it tried doing the sells and then the sells failed because of something with Polymarket's API in the settlement layer. So it actually, very interestingly, I asked it to do a Post-Mortem, which if you're in the tech world, or you're not in the tech world, Post-Mortems are good. They're basically like conclusions after a bad event happens of what went wrong and then how we're going to fix it after that happens. And so what ended up happening was it describes it right here, which is pretty cool. If you have OpenClaw, it can actually like do a lot of kind of like research and analysis kind of tasks like this for you, which is awesome. And so it says right here, it tried placing DCA orders, which of course it did, and that's why I was able to make money on this. But the problem was that this specific part is what it diagnosed, which is when multiple buy orders filled within seconds of each other, the CLOB hadn't settled the tokens from fill 1 before the bot tried to place the TP cell for fill number 2. And so these were the errors actually that it ended up finding, and that's how I realized there was something wrong. And how I actually realized there was something wrong, OpenClaw didn't yet. And I wanted to have OpenClaw act as a site reliability engineer, but as of now, like, it's just not working yet. And so what I wanted to do is be proactive and look for these type of errors without me having to catch them and then tell it what to do. But we're not there yet, but maybe next week we will be. And so what happened was that it tried placing the cells, but the balance hadn't come in yet. And the problem is that when that happens, Polymarket does not let you actually place the cells because it doesn't know if you actually have the balance in your account, which makes sense. So it bought a bunch of stuff, wasn't able to place the cells, and then more importantly, did not keep trying to replace the cells. Big problem. And so what happened was that I looked this morning, I'm like, wait a minute, why is there a bunch of position size, but then not enough cells to cover it from an count wise? And that's when I asked it to look into itself, and then it found the bug. So in this case, what ended up happening was the Strait of Hormuz market basically mean reverted a bit down because there was a headline that came out around China talking with Iran to allow safe oil and gas passage. So I saw this, and again, I wasn't able to quick enough to capture this, but that's why I'm running the bot in the first place. Because what happened was that it was around like 20s. In the 20s, it actually went, the graph doesn't really show it. If you look at the buys here, the buys actually show that it went higher than that, meaning that no went lower, which is why it got a good profit on it. What happened was that it bought up here, and then on the no side, and then as the yes fell, the no, of course, becomes bigger, but it took profits. So if the yes is 84 cents, then no is 16, and down here, no is 40. But of course, I had set 20% take profits, so it should have sold out a lot of it down here. But the problem was it wasn't able to sell. So it actually held, which again, this is not what you don't want this to happen because you want your algorithm to actually work. And if you get lucky one time, that doesn't help you. But it actually, I think I sold like around here. So in total, it ended up being about $150 or something like that in total from the unrealized gains that it had from not selling correctly, plus some of them it did TP. So why did I say that the bot lied to me? Well, because I actually realized the issue because I checked this morning to see if there was enough take profits. And then I realized there wasn't, and I was like, okay, what went wrong? So I already knew something went wrong, so I prompted the thing and said, why is there so few cells for Hormuz? And they said it's actually doing very well, which is hilarious because if you work with these things, they do this all the time where because it's like they don't have enough understanding of the system to understand that things are not very well. They're actually very, very bad because let's say, for example, you don't TP and you hold these positions and it goes to 0, then you take a bigger loss than you're expecting, which is exactly the danger of these bots. And so what it ends up saying is oh, it's actually crushing it today. The grid is working exactly as designed. And then, of course, I know it's not. And so I say, go check yourself. What positions? And then it says there's a critical bug. 9 positions open, but the cells aren't showing in the book. So only when prompted did it actually realize something was wrong. And then it made mistakes a couple more times down here. So then I had to say, go through the logs and API and figure out what exactly went wrong. And then only did it actually come up with this very clear picture, which is very good, about what went wrong and the exact issue. Now, to his credit, after the issue in the script happened, it did go and fix the issues in the code and then reconcile the state. So that's one of the trickiest parts of doing this yourself, and why like having someone else, like a developer who, like is ready, and having someone else, especially AI, do it, where there's like mundane tasks of fixing your trading state locally and making sure things are reconciled if something goes wrong. And this thing actually went and did it, which is awesome. And it redeployed the code. So then the other part is that the Strait of Hormuz trade, I really like when they are when the no side is at a higher amount, and then you can sell into the dip. Like, it could still be closed. And so I don't even want to take this one anymore. This was like a short-term get in, get out kind of type of thing. Now that it's down here, it's actually more risky, because now the no side is actually was 40 something, 30 something. And so it could easily go back to like 80 or 90, and you can take like a 50, 60% loss on all positions. So I don't even want to do this anymore. I wanted to take the no swing down to here, or down somewhere, and then get out. I don't want to keep doing this game. And so I actually had it go and kill the script and then market sell all the positions. So this is the second time actually that it made the mistake. So if we go through here, it says, oh, it closed it all out. And then I saw that there was not all closed out positions, because there were still some positions left and also resting orders. And then, so it confidently said everything was fine again, and it was not fine. And so I said, are you sure you killed all the most positions? And there's not any resting orders. And then it goes, oh, not clean. And then I said, remember for next time, when you're talking about positions being closed or orders not being there, you must actually go double check using real APIs. And this is the part where, if anyone uses OpenClaw a lot in the comments, let me know. I don't understand how people are using these things where they say that these things are just fully autonomous and they're able to get really good results, because from my side, all I've seen in the trading side is that these things make mistakes left and right. And in trading, like, it's not like you're doing clipping of some YouTube video. If your trading state is messed up, you literally lose money. Like, they're just slight tweaks that could cost you tons of issues. And so like, I see these videos online where they're like, we have this thing running autonomously and it's creating new agents. I don't know how that's possible. So if you do that, let me know how to actually get this working, because every time I use these things, I always have the same problem, which is they make very small mistakes that, if I'm not double checking, could cost me very badly. And so it said, understood, this lesson is carved in stone. And so hopefully it actually is next time. I think it added it to this memory, but we'll see. Okay, so how am I planning on fixing this so it doesn't happen next time? Well, fixing it once is not going to help, because if it happens, it can easily happen again. Maybe there's another type of error that hasn't seen before, whatever. The real issue is that there's stuff on Polymarket, there's stuff in our state files that don't match. And as soon as that happens, we really should be alerted and it should be reconciled. And so what I told it to do is to set up a job, which now it's claiming it's doing, which is hourly health checks. So now it has a cron job, Sonnet, so it uses less tokens, SSHs into the server, cross-checks state files against the live Cloud API. So Polymarket has its own idea of what you have as a balance. Your own code has its own idea. And then the idea is that if they mismatch, you have a problem on your hands, because Polymarket says you have $100. Your own code might say you have $50. You might have bought the $50 without you understanding that you have the $50, which means you might overbuy or underbuy or oversell, or your sells fail, whatever. And so it's very important that those two match. And so now I have it doing this hourly health check. I hope that in the future, if something happens, it will alert me through this health check. And if it doesn't, then we'll just update the health check again until it works, because at the core, the whole point of OpenClaw is that you can have this AI virtual agent assistant do things for you on its own and alert you when you want to be alerted or when it thinks it should be alerting you. And that's also a great thing for trading, because when you're trading, these things are 24/7. There's all these little gotchas all over the place. And so instead of us having to go ask the thing to go do health checks, it should go do health checks and then message us. So at the end of the day, it's not all bad. We're still running on these markets. It still made money. The scripts are still running, and it saved me a ridiculous amount of time. I would never have even, just the frustration of just the time it takes to set up a bot on something like the Strait of Hormuz one with custom parameters would take me, I don't know, like 5 minutes of like figuring out, oh, what should I run on, all the commands to run, updating the config, all that kind of things, reconciling the state. And so the fact that this thing actually goes and does it for me, and it really, like, I wouldn't even have done this opportunity had this thing not been this easy to use. And so while I'm complaining about the fact that it did make mistakes and didn't do what it was supposed to do, this is still a work in progress. And the reality is this thing, and I think these AI tools can help us as traders much more than they are annoying. So that's it for today's episode. This is going to be a short one, just a lessons learned. If you're doing something like this, let me know in the comments. Tomorrow, I'm going to try taking my other normal crypto Polymarket bots and giving them to the script as well. And then what I want to do is I want to work a little bit more on its mission control system, because now that I'm going to be making it manage on-demand, on-the-fly scripts, I want to run this oil one because oil has been going crazy, and so there's a lot of volatility here that looks like it's really fun to trade, and I'm sure this is going to be a good one. And so if you don't know, oil is going crazy because of the Iran war, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. Oil looks actually kind of like an altcoin. And so I think this will be a fun one. I'm going to add this one, but I'm also tomorrow going to add the crypto ones. And so check back tomorrow. We'll see how it works. We'll see if this thing makes any more mistakes and the health checks don't work or do work or whatever. So check in for day 4 tomorrow, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode.